in my coils of our conceit.
With your bitter.
I am nobody. It is winter here. Look how white everything is, how quiet, how snowed in. I am learning peacefulness, lying by myself as the light lies on these white walls, this bed, these hands. I am nobody.
My name's Candice and I'm 17 years old. My dad died when I was 4 years old and my real mum lives in Canada. She's never been involved in my life at all. After my dad died, me and my sister went to move in with some other relatives and the situation got really violent, so in the end I had to leave. I developed post-traumatic stress disorder and it just got to the point where I couldn't eat and I ended up in hospital and was diagnosed with anorexia.
I didn't want any flowers. I only wanted to lie with my hands turned up and be utterly empty. The tulips are too red in the first place. They hurt me, upsetting me with their sudden tongues and their colour. A dozen red lead sinkers round my neck.
Often, it's the only thing between you and impossibility. No drink, no woman's love, no wealth can match it. Nothing can save you except writing. Hi, I'm Dolly Sen. I'm 34, I live in London, and I have schizophrenia and manic depression. When I read Writing by Bukowski, I can identify with his belief that writing has saved him, and I think it did the same for me. It keeps the walls from falling, the hordes from closing in. It blasts the darkness. Writing's like throwing 1,000 stars into the darkness, you know, your life becomes illumined. The voices I hear now are quite neutral and they just comment on the things I do. And one is I call the poet, and you know, and I'm too lazy to write, I let the voice write. It feels like it's outside of my head, but when I'm well, I understand that it comes from me.
They carved out their role in society, now see how they made their mark. Black History Month, all through October on Community Channel.
It was here, in this harbour, that Joseph Emedy was finally set free after several years of captivity on a British frigate. I wonder what he made of it, alone in a strange land with only his violin for companionship. Joseph Emedy must have been quite an extraordinary character, having only just arrived in Cornwall.
The enigma of the man is amazing. It raises more, his story raises more questions than it does answers.
I'm here in the heart of Brixton, South London, to introduce a film about a man whose words are synonymous with this part of the capital. The man is Linton Kwesi Johnson, and the film is Dread Beaten Blood. I got into publishing books rather by accident because I'd been a music journalist for many years, and before that I'd started my own fanzine, you know, a fans magazine about music when I was probably 17 or 18 years old. The Washington Post described the Express as having started a publishing revolution. Until we came around, you know, black British authors didn't have an outlet. They do now, and they always will now, and we've managed to introduce authors to the industry which wouldn't have been there. Yeah, let that be my epitaph. He was one of us.
One of the questions I'm asked probably the most is how I became a Blue Peter presenter, because I was the first black presenter. I was a working actress, and my first rep job was playing Eliza Doolittle in Harrogate. My childminder announced that on my answer phone was a message from my agent saying that Blue Peter had phoned to ask me to audition, and yeah, I got the job. Being a mum, I feel so chuffed that I've had this opportunity.
In this week's Community News, we take to the water to find out what happens when you mix a comedian, a bath and a few too many down the local.
So, you need to get from Calais to Dover. Well, most of us would use the ferry, or perhaps nowadays the Channel Tunnel. But there are always a few eccentrics who like to do these things the unusual way. You've no doubt have heard of people who've swum the channel, or perhaps attempted to cross it using jet skis, paddle boats or windsurfers. Well, we've come to meet someone who's taken that kind of eccentricity to a whole new level.
As the sun sinks slowly behind Tower Bridge and HMS President prepares for the night, Tim appears around a bend in the river, finally completing his epic, if unusual, journey.
I feel frankly over the moon. I can't quite believe it. I've rowed so far to get here. I can't tell you. I set off in France. It's been a very long haul to get here, and I am amazed that we have made it this far.
In this week's Community News, there are 32 nations, 2 days of competition, but there can be only one winner. The Inner City World Cup, the Glastonbury of football, is the centre of the Love Football Festival and takes place each year on Wimbledon Common.